In the year 2478, Earth had changed more than anyone could imagine. After centuries of war, pollution, and division, humanity finally learned the hardest lesson of all. Unity was survival. The nations of Earth joined under one council, forming a single world government known as the United Earth Alliance. They built cities that touched the clouds, ships that reached the stars, and minds that dreamed without limits. For the first time in history, humans looked beyond their planet not as separate nations but as one people. The Great Space Age had begun. Dozens of colonies circled nearby stars, connected by fusion drives and quantum gates. The moon was now a shining city. Mars had green valleys filled with human-built forests, and huge research stations floated near Jupiter's moons. Humanity believed nothing could stop their progress. They were explorers, dreamers, and builders. Their machines turned rock into cities, and their scientists turned the unknown into knowledge. Hope was endless, but everything changed one quiet morning in March. A faint signal arrived at Earth from deep space. At first, it looked like background noise, one of the millions of strange sounds the universe made every day. But a young intern at the Lunar Communications Array noticed something unusual. The sound repeated every 23 seconds like a heartbeat. He ran the data through the filters again, and the signal became clearer. It was not random. It carried a rhythm. It carried intent. The signal was quickly sent to the United Earth Science Center. For weeks, experts studied it using every decoding method they knew. The strange pulses were mathematical and precise. When finally decoded, the message appeared in simple text across the main screen. It read, "We see your fire. We see your rise. Do not advance." The room went silent. The scientists stared at each other, unsure if it was a warning, a mistake, or a joke from somewhere within the network. But soon the same signal appeared again, this time from a completely different direction of space. Then again from another system, far beyond human reach. Each time the same message came through. It became clear this was no prank. Someone or something was speaking to humanity. The council called for an emergency meeting in the sky chamber, a transparent dome floating over the Pacific Ocean. The world's leaders, top scientists, and fleet commanders gathered to discuss what the message could mean. Dr. Mira, a linguist who specialized in ancient codes, stood before the group. She was calm but pale. "The translation is accurate," she said. "It's not a threat. It's a warning. These messages are being sent from automated stations around dead stars. They've been running for a very long time. We don't know who built them." General Aaron, head of the Earth Defense Fleet, crossed his arms. "If they are warning us, it means they fear us." "Why would they fear us? We are newcomers to the stars." Dr. Mira looked at the map floating in the air above the table. Dozens of red points marked the sources of the signals. "These stations belong to an old empire," she said. "They call themselves the Galactic Empire, and fragments we found buried in the data. But the last record of them is millions of years old. Their cities are dust. Their worlds are silent, yet their machines still work." President Leon leaned forward. "Then who is sending the signal now?" "That," Mira replied, "is what we must find out." Within days, 3 exploration fleets were prepared to travel toward the source of the nearest signal. The most advanced ship of all, Aurora, led the mission. It was commanded by Captain Rian, a calm man who believed knowledge was more powerful than fear. His crew of 200 scientists and explorers left Earth orbit, guided by starlight and curiosity. The journey to the signal's origin took 4 months. During that time, they studied every transmission that arrived. Some were clear, others distorted by time and cosmic radiation. One phrase appeared more than any other: "Do not advance." Every repetition came with a slight change in tone, as if the machines themselves were anxious. When Aurora finally reached the coordinates, they discovered something beyond imagination. Floating in the darkness was a massive sphere, black as night and larger than the moon. It surrounded a dying star. Its surface was covered with strange blue symbols that glowed softly, forming rivers of light across the metal skin. The crew had never seen anything like it. Captain Ryan ordered the ship to approach slowly. Scanners came alive with readings that made no sense. The sphere was ancient, but it emitted strong energy signals as if still operating. The ship's communication officer, Lena, whispered, "Sir, the sphere is transmitting directly toward us." A low hum filled the control room. The same old message repeated, but this time the words changed. A new sentence appeared on the main screen. You were not meant to rise so soon. Everyone froze. The computer confirmed the signal came directly from the sphere, and the translation was perfect English. Captain Rian's voice was steady. This is the Earth vessel Aurora. Identify yourself. There was a pause. Then the voice returned, clear and deep, not mechanical but strangely human. We are the Watchers. We guard the silence between stars. You have awakened the echoes. The crew exchanged uneasy looks. What silence? Captain Rian asked. We mean no harm. We only seek knowledge. The silence, the voice answered, is peace. We ended the wars that once burned the stars. The Empire fell, but we remain to keep the peace. Do not advance, for your kind carries the spark that destroys. The lights on the sphere began to brighten, as if the structure itself was alive. Energy levels rose so fast that the ship's sensors started to overload. Alarms filled the bridge. Lieutenant Kale shouted, Captain, the radiation is rising fast. We have to retreat. Captain Rian looked at the growing light outside the window. For a moment he felt both fear and wonder. Something vast and ancient had spoken to them. Something that feared humanity's potential. He gave the order, set course for home. We carry their message to Earth. As the Aurora turned away, a final signal came from the sphere. The voice whispered through the static. The Empire heard Earth's warning once. Then they went silent. You must not follow their path. Before anyone could ask what it meant, the sphere shut down. Its lights faded and all energy readings dropped to zero. It became a lifeless shell again, drifting in space. The crew of the Aurora stared at it until it vanished behind them. The return journey was heavy with silence. The crew spoke little, each lost in thought. Captain Rian recorded everything, adding his personal note to the final report. We have met the Watchers. They fear what we might become. We do not know what they mean by Earth's warning, but their silence hides something deeper. If their empire vanished after hearing us, then we must understand why. When Aurora arrived back in Earth orbit, the world waited for answers. The council met again and Rian shared the recordings. The message sent ripples of fear and curiosity across the planet. Some said it was a trick. Others believed it was a prophecy. But Dr. Mira said only one thing. If the Watchers once heard Earth's warning, then somewhere long before us, another voice from Earth must have reached them. Something from our past touched their future. That thought spread across humanity like wildfire. People wondered what kind of message could travel so far and make an ancient empire go silent. Scientists began searching the archives for old transmissions, trying to find if Earth had ever sent something into deep space that could explain it. Far away, beyond the stars, the dark sphere drifted around its dead star. Deep inside its silent chambers, faint blue light flickered again, as if something ancient had awakened once more. A single whisper echoed within the metal walls. They have returned, and the galaxy, once quiet, began to listen. After the Aurora returned, the world could not rest. Every news channel, research network, and academy talked about the mysterious sphere and the message from the Watchers. People across Earth looked up at the night sky and wondered what waited beyond the stars. The words, "Do not advance," became a topic in every classroom and meeting hall. Some believed the Watchers were trying to protect humanity from danger, while others thought they wanted to keep humans weak. The United Earth Council formed a new group called the Deep Space Research Division, led by Dr. Mira and Captain Rian. Their task was to find out what the Watchers meant when they said, "The Empire heard Earth's warning." The Council wanted proof that Earth had once sent something that reached the old Galactic Empire long before humanity learned interstellar travel. Dr. Mira began searching through ancient data archives. She and her team went back hundreds of years, studying old radio signals, space probes, and deep space transmissions from the 21st and 22nd centuries. Many of those old signals had drifted across space for centuries. Most were simple greetings or scientific experiments, but a few were powerful, carrying songs, languages, and even human stories. One day, deep inside the data vault beneath the city of New Geneva, Mira found something unusual. It was an old file labeled Project Dawnlight. The file dated back to the year 2089, more than 300 years before the formation of the United Earth Alliance. When she opened it, she found an audio message sent into space from one of the first interstellar beacons. The message was short but powerful. It said, "To any life that hears us, we are from Earth. We seek peace, but we will not kneel to darkness. Our light will reach even the coldest star." Mira played the message again and again. The voice was calm but strong. It carried pride and courage. She realized that this was the first time humanity ever declared itself to the universe. It was meant as a peaceful signal, but to others it might have sounded like a challenge. She called Captain Ryan to the research vault. When he arrived, she played the message for him. He stood silently, listening to the human voice echoing through time. When the sound ended, he said, "This must be the warning they spoke about. The Empire must have heard this centuries ago. But why would such a simple message make them afraid?" Mira asked. "It only says that we will not kneel. That's not a threat." Ryan walked to the large window overlooking the sea of data screens. Maybe they once faced a species that said the same words. Maybe they think history is repeating itself. The more they studied, the more they found traces of the Galactic Empire's fall. The Empire had once ruled thousands of systems. They had knowledge that humans could only dream of. But at some point, their civilization collapsed almost overnight. Entire star systems went silent. Great cities turned to dust. No one knew what caused it. The data recovered from the Watcher's signal contained fragments of history. It told of a war that began when the Empire discovered a small young world that had sent out a bold message. One that spoke of freedom, fire, and defiance. The Empire had seen that message as a sign of danger, believing it came from a rising species capable of destruction. They tried to stop it, but whatever they did unleashed chaos among their own systems. The war consumed them. Dr. Mira and her team realized the truth. The old Empire had not been destroyed by an outside enemy. They had destroyed themselves because of fear. They feared a voice from the stars, a voice that came from Earth. When the Council heard the report, debate filled the sky chamber. Some leaders wanted to stop space expansion completely, fearing that more warnings might come. Others argued that the Watchers only feared what they did not understand. President Leon finally spoke. "We cannot hide forever," she said. "If the Empire fell because of fear, we must rise because of courage." A new plan was approved. The Aurora would return to the Orion sector to study the Watcher's sphere in greater detail. This time, a larger team of scientists and defense ships would go with them. The fleet was named Expedition Dawn, in honor of the ancient signal that started it all. The preparations took 6 months. During that time, humanity's emotions shifted between hope and fear. People painted the Watcher's warning on buildings and walls. Artists wrote songs about the Empire's silence. Children studied the story in schools. For the first time, humanity understood that they were part of something vast and ancient, a chain of civilizations connected by light and fear. When the fleet finally launched, hundreds of ships gathered above Earth, shining like a silver cloud. Captain Ryan led the mission again, while Dr. Mira served as chief science officer. They stood together on the bridge of the Aurora, watching the blue planet fade behind them. Ryan said quietly, "If the Watchers are still there, we will face them with truth, not fear." It took 4 months to reach the Orion sector again. Along the way, they found ruins of strange machines floating in deep space. Old outposts, communication arrays, and defense towers built by the Galactic Empire. Some were still active, sending faint signals that no one could fully decode. It felt as if the whole galaxy was whispering warnings from the past. When the fleet arrived at the coordinates, the dark sphere was still there, silent and motionless around the dead star. But this time it did not stay quiet. As soon as the ships came close, the symbols on its surface began to glow again, brighter than before. Energy waves rippled outward, shaking the ships. "Shields up," ordered Ryan. The bridge filled with flashing lights. Then the familiar deep voice echoed through every communication channel. "Why do you return?" "We warned you." Dr. Mira stepped forward. "We came to understand," she said firmly. "We are not here to fight. We found the message you heard from Earth long ago. It was not a threat." The voice paused for a moment, then spoke again. "We know your light. We heard your promise. We feared your fire because it was the same fire that destroyed us." The crew listened in silence as the sphere opened once more. This time, it revealed a massive chamber inside filled with floating structures of light. Holograms of alien figures appeared, tall and shining, their faces calm but unreadable. One of them spoke. "We were the Empire. We saw a world of fire rise from the dark. We tried to stop it, and in our fear, we became the darkness ourselves. When the message came again, we knew it had returned." Captain Ryan looked at the image and said, "The message came from our ancestors. They only spoke of peace and freedom. You destroyed yourselves because of fear, not because of us." The figures flickered like fading stars. "Perhaps," one of them said softly. "But fear is never gone. It waits in every world that rises." The chamber trembled and the sphere began to release waves of light that spread across space. The energy readings were rising fast again, but this time it was not dangerous. The light spread across the fleet, filling every ship with calm warmth. The voice of the Watchers grew softer. "Then show us that your fire is not destruction. Show us that you can rise without burning others." The light slowly faded and the sphere began to close once more. But before it went dark, one final beam of energy shot toward the Aurora. It carried new data, maps, coordinates, and encrypted information. The fleet's computers recorded it all before the sphere finally turned silent again. As they watched it fade into darkness, Dr. Mira said, "They gave us something. Maybe they want us to find the truth." Captain Ryan nodded. "Then we will follow where it leads. Whatever they feared, we must face it." The fleet turned away, carrying the Watcher's last gift. Behind them, the dead star glowed one final time before vanishing into blackness. Back on Earth, the people watched as the fleet's transmissions came through. The message was clear. Humanity had been given a test. The Watchers had not ended them. They had challenged them. Somewhere beyond the stars, another mystery waited, and humanity was ready to meet it. When the fleet returned from the Orion sector, the world waited in silence. People filled the streets to watch the live broadcast from the Aurora. The council gathered again in the sky chamber, and Captain Ryan stood before them with Dr. Mira by his side. The sphere had gone silent once more, but before it did, it sent something that could change everything. A map written in patterns of light and code. Ryan began the report calmly. "The Watchers did not destroy us. They gave us information. These coordinates lead to many points across the galaxy. Each point seems to be part of something much larger. We believe these are the remains of their empire." Dr. Mira spoke next. "We think they want us to learn. Perhaps they want to show us what really destroyed them. The maps may lead to answers about their past, and about what they feared." The council members looked at each other uneasily. President Leon asked, "Do you believe it is safe to follow their path?" Ryan answered carefully, "We cannot know for sure, but hiding will not save us from fear. We must understand what happened to them, or the same fear might one day destroy us." After long debate, the council approved a new mission named Project Horizon. It would follow the path of the Watcher's map to uncover the truth. The Aurora was chosen again to lead the journey, with 10 support ships. Many brave explorers volunteered, though everyone understood the risks. Some systems on the map were far beyond known space, in places no human ship had ever gone. Before departure, Ryan walked along the sea near the old launch site of Project Dawnlight. The waves glowed under the light of the moon. Dr. Mira joined him quietly. For a while, neither spoke. Then she said, "Do you think we are repeating their mistake, going deeper when they told us to stop?" Ryan looked at the horizon where sea met sky. "Maybe, but if we stop now, fear wins again. They said, 'Show us your fire is not destruction.' That means they are watching. I want them to see that humans can rise without falling." The next day, the fleet launched. Their destination was a system near the galactic rim, one of the first points on the Watcher's map. As the ships left the solar system, messages poured from Earth wishing them luck. Children waved from city towers, and the old men and women who remembered the first signals prayed silently for their safe return. Weeks turned into months as the fleet crossed light years of cold space. The crew of the Aurora grew close like family. They shared meals, laughter, and long hours staring at the stars. But inside, each of them carried the same quiet question. What would they find at the end of the map? Finally, they reached the first destination, a dying red star surrounded by ruins. Dozens of broken stations floated in silence, their metal bones twisted and burned. When the scanners went active, they detected small signals still coming from deep inside one of the wrecks. The crew sent drones to explore. Inside the wreck, they found strange machines shaped like long vines of crystal. Each one held faint traces of stored memory. Mira's team carefully activated the translators. The ship's main screen came alive with fragments of an old recording. A tall alien figure appeared, speaking in a deep, slow voice. "We built the network to guard the silence, but something came that burned reason. We feared the message from the young world. We tried to stop it, but it spread inside us. It made us see each other as enemies. The Empire broke itself. The recording ended abruptly. The bridge went silent. Ryan whispered, "They feared us so much that they destroyed their own unity." Another piece of data followed the message, coordinates to a second location. It seemed the Watchers had left a trail, each ruin pointing to another. The fleet followed the path, visiting system after system. Every stop revealed another piece of the story. They learned that the Galactic Empire had once ruled with great wisdom and peace. But when they discovered the human signal long ago, the one that said, "We seek peace, but we will not kneel," some of their leaders took it as a sign of a new empire rising to challenge them. Fear grew like poison. Arguments turned into wars, and soon entire worlds burned. The Watchers who survived built the great spheres to preserve what was left of their knowledge and to send warnings into the void. The truth was heavy on everyone's hearts. Mira often spent hours in the observatory, looking out at the stars. One night, she said quietly, "They saw our message as a threat, but maybe their fear came from something else, something hidden." Ryan nodded. "You think there's more?" "Yes," she said. The Watchers spoke of something they called the burning light. Maybe it was not just fear. Maybe it was something real that destroyed them. The next coordinate was the farthest one, deep inside a nebula where light itself twisted strangely. As the fleet entered the glowing clouds, instruments began to fail. Strange energy fields surrounded them. Communication became static. The ships moved closer together to avoid getting lost. Then from the center of the nebula, a pulse of energy hit them. The ships shook violently. Red alarms filled every screen. Ryan shouted orders. "Stabilize power. Keep formation." Out of the mist, a structure appeared. A huge ring made of broken metal and floating debris. In its center glowed a small white sphere pulsing like a heart. It looked alive. Scanners identified massive energy inside it, far beyond what humans could produce. "This must be the source," Mira said, eyes wide. "Maybe this is what they called the burning light." The fleet tried to scan the sphere, but every attempt was blocked. Then, without warning, the energy around it changed. A new signal entered the Aurora's system. It was not like the Watcher's message. It was faster, sharper, almost alive. Words formed on the main screen. "You awaken what sleeps. Leave now." Ryan's heart raced. "That's not the Watchers," he said. "That's something else." Mira studied the readings. "It's an automated defense. But look, its origin is old, very old. Maybe even before the Empire." The voice repeated the message again, louder. "Leave now." The white sphere began to expand slowly. Streams of energy flowed from it like arms reaching across space. The ship started to lose power. Ryan had to make a choice. If we leave, we lose the truth. If we stay, we may not survive. Mira looked at the glowing sphere. "Captain, if we leave, the mystery remains forever." The Watchers tried to stop this thing, not us. "This is what they feared," Ryan nodded. "Then we find a way to learn without waking it fully. Begin remote scan at minimum strength." The scan started carefully. The light grew stronger but did not attack. Inside the sphere they saw strange patterns, shapes of worlds, stars, and ancient ships frozen in energy. It was like a memory of the galaxy itself. Then the signal changed again, softer this time. "You are not them." The crew looked at each other. Mira replied through the communicator. "We are from Earth. We come in peace." There was silence. Then the voice said, "They feared you because they feared themselves. The light is not destruction. It is knowledge." But they could not bear its truth. Suddenly the ship's sensors filled with data. The sphere was sending information, images of the Empire's rise and fall. The crew saw cities of gold, fleets of shining ships, and then chaos, war, and darkness. They saw the Watchers build their great spheres to hide the truth. The burning light was not a weapon. It was a creation engine that could reshape matter and energy. The Empire used it to build everything, but when they tried to control it with fear, it turned against them. When the transmission ended, the white sphere dimmed. The final words echoed through the ship. "Learn from our end. Do not chain the light. Become better than us." The fleet recorded everything and pulled back from the nebula. As the clouds faded behind them, Ryan sat quietly in his chair. Mira turned to him. "Now we know what destroyed them." Ryan nodded slowly. Fear of their own creation. They tried to rule the light and it consumed them. They thought we were the same. But maybe we can be different. As the Aurora turned toward home, Mira looked at the endless stars ahead. "We carry their memory now," she said softly. "Let us prove that our fire is not destruction." The fleet began its long journey back, carrying the truth of the Empire and the secret of the burning light. On Earth, the story of their discovery would soon change the way all humanity looked at the stars forever. The fleet returned from the nebula with hearts full of awe and minds brimming with questions. The burning light, the ancient energy of the Galactic Empire, was no weapon. It was knowledge and creation, a force that could shape worlds and stars. But the Empire had destroyed itself because of fear, unable to use the power wisely. Humanity now held a chance to learn from their mistakes. Back on Earth, the news of Project Horizon's discoveries spread like wildfire. Children in schools drew pictures of the white sphere and the shining cities of the lost empire. Scientists debated endlessly in every hall, sharing theories about the burning light and the Watchers. And for the first time, humanity realized the galaxy was not empty. It had been alive long before humans ever reached the stars. Captain Rian and Dr. Mira presented their full report to the United Earth Council. The chamber was filled with holographic displays of the nebula, the white sphere, and fragments of the Empire's history. Mira's voice echoed in the hall. The Empire feared what they could not control. Their light became their doom. The Kyo Watchers tried to preserve knowledge, sending warnings for centuries, and now we have the chance to rise without fear, to learn without destroying ourselves. President Leon stood. "Then we have a responsibility," she said. "We must use what we learn not for power, but for growth. Our fire must be different. It must be creation, not destruction." The council agreed. They decided to send a new mission, larger than any before. Named Project Lumina, it would explore the remaining coordinates from the Watcher's map and recover the knowledge of the ancient empire. But this time, Earth would not rush blindly. Scientists, philosophers, engineers, and diplomats would travel alongside explorers, ensuring that humanity would grow wisely. Weeks later, the fleet prepared for departure. Ships gleamed in the sunlight like polished silver. Children waved from Earth's orbital cities, their small hands reaching toward the stars. Old astronauts from the first space programs watched silently, proud of what humanity had become. Captain Ryan stood on the bridge of the Aurora, watching the horizon. Dr. Mira joined him. "Do you ever wonder," she asked, "if we will be tested again? If some force will try to stop us?" Ryan shook his head. "The Empire failed because they let fear control them. We will not. We are not them. If the universe tests us, we will rise with courage and wisdom." As the fleet entered deep space, the first coordinate on the new map led them to a system filled with shattered planets. The satellites and ruins scattered across the void were the remains of ancient cities. On one planet, tall towers of metal and crystal reached into the sky, though broken and silent. Mira's team studied them closely, finding messages stored in the Empire's technology. One message stood out. A hologram appeared of a tall figure in flowing robes, speaking in a calm, deep voice. "To any who find this place, we were proud, yet weak. Our light created wonders, but we feared its power. We broke ourselves before we could rise. Learn from our end, build a future without fear. Show the universe that fire can be used for growth, not war." The words echoed through the Aurora, and the crew felt a heavy weight in their hearts. They understood that the Empire's failure was not from enemies but from within. Fear had been stronger than wisdom. The fleet continued from system to system, gathering knowledge and understanding. At each point, they found tools, machines, and writings of the Empire. Some were simple, showing how to harness energy for life and growth. Others were complex, teaching lessons about leadership, ethics, and creation. Every discovery made the crew more aware of what they held, and of the responsibility that came with it. One day, while exploring a partially intact city floating in space, Lieutenant Kale found a strange device. It was a sphere of crystal, similar to the white sphere in the nebula, but smaller and pulsing gently. When activated, it projected images of humans and alien figures working together, building new worlds and sharing knowledge. Dr. Mira studied the projections. They were trying to show the ideal civilization, not just power but harmony. They believed that knowledge alone was not enough. Cooperation and understanding were just as important. Ryan nodded. Then that is what we must carry with us, not just their technology but their vision, a vision without fear. As the fleet moved deeper into the galaxy, they reached a system that once held the Empire's capital. Now it was a silent world of crystal towers and metal spires, floating in empty space. When the fleet entered orbit, a massive energy pulse spread across the ships. The lights flickered and the ship's systems hummed with the energy of the old Empire. A voice filled the communications. It was the same deep, calm voice from before. You have reached the heart of what was once the Empire. Here all knowledge converged, here we failed. Captain Ryan spoke through the communicator. We are here to learn, not to conquer. We carry no fear, only curiosity and respect. The energy around the capital shifted, revealing images of the Empire's greatest achievements. Bridges spanning entire planets, ships that could bend light, gardens that floated in space, and libraries containing knowledge of thousands of civilizations. Every human on the fleet felt the enormity of what had been lost, and what could still be gained. Dr. Mira activated a recording left in the capital. The hologram appeared of an elder of the Empire. We were wise yet weak. We feared our own creations. The fire we carried was too bright for us to control. We watched the young world, and in our fear we fell. But you, who arrive now, have the chance to rise differently. Take our lessons, and let your fire illuminate, not consume. The fleet's crew understood the weight of the message. This was more than technology. It was a moral compass, a guide for the future. Humanity had been warned once, and now they had the chance to rise without repeating the same mistakes. Ryan looked at his crew and said, "The Empire failed because they allowed fear to control them. We will not. We will rise not for power, but for wisdom, for growth, for creation." Over the next weeks, the fleet gathered as much knowledge as they could carry. The Empire's machines, libraries, and recordings were copied into Earth's main archives. Every ship returned home with pieces of the past, each one carrying lessons written in light and energy. On the journey back to Earth, Mira and Ryan often stood together on the observation deck, staring at the stars. Mira said, "Do you think humanity can truly rise above fear?" Ryan smiled gently. "We must. That is the challenge we carry now. The Empire left us their fire and their warning. We can use it to light the universe, not burn it. We will show the Watchers that our fire is different." As the fleet approached Earth, a new dawn lit the sky. People watched the ships return, shining like silver comets. Children cheered, scientists wept with joy, and leaders understood that humanity's place among the stars had changed forever. The Watchers' warning had been clear. Fear destroys. But humans had learned. They had seen the past, understood the mistakes of the Galactic Empire, and now carried the power of creation with wisdom and courage. Humanity had risen beyond fear, and the galaxy was ready to see what they could become. The return of Project Lumina's fleet brought more than technology and knowledge, it brought hope. Earth had never seen a time like this. Cities glowed with new energy as the Empire's lessons were applied. Machines powered by principles learned from the Watchers reshaped entire continents. Farms floated in the sky. Water was purified instantly and energy flowed freely without pollution. Humanity had begun to rise above its old limits. Captain Ryan and Dr. Mira were hailed as heroes, but both knew the true achievement belonged to all of humanity. They had only guided the way. The lessons of the Galactic Empire were clear. Fear destroys, but knowledge shared with courage and wisdom builds worlds. The Council called a global assembly. Delegates from every continent gathered in the largest hall ever built. Holographic displays showed the ruins of the Empire, the White Sphere, and the burning light. Mira addressed the assembly first. We have seen what fear can do. We have seen the brightest fire consumed by its own creators, but we have also seen the opportunity to rise beyond fear. Humanity can use the fire we carry to create, to explore, and to unite the stars. The assembly was silent for a moment, absorbing the weight of her words. Then President Leon spoke. Humanity's challenge is not survival alone. Our challenge is responsibility. We now possess the knowledge to shape worlds and touch the stars like never before, but we must use it wisely. The Watcher's warning was not meant to stop us, it was meant to guide us. Across the globe, people listened. Children learned about the Empire in schools. Scientists built new laboratories. Artists and writers celebrated the triumph of curiosity and courage. Humanity had stepped into a new era, one where they could rise without fear, inspired by the lessons of the past. Yet even as the world celebrated, Captain Rion prepared for a new mission. The Watcher's map had shown the lost empire, but there were still coordinates left unexplored. Mira joined him on the bridge of the Aurora. "Are we ready to go further?" she asked. Rion looked out at the stars. "Yes, we have learned that the universe is full of wonders. We have learned to face the unknown with courage. If we stop now, we waste everything we have learned. We must continue, not for conquest, but for understanding." The fleet set out again, carrying explorers, scientists, engineers, and historians. Their journey led them to new systems untouched by human or alien civilization. Each world they visited revealed remnants of ancient knowledge, libraries floating in space, machines that turned energy into matter, and gardens suspended in zero gravity. They learned to harness the principles of the burning light without fear, creating small wonders that illuminated the path for all humanity. During one stop, on a small icy world, Lieutenant Kale discovered a series of crystals that emitted soft light. When activated, they displayed images of planets, stars, and civilizations that had once thrived. Mira studied the projections and said, "These are memories of the Empire's greatest achievements. They wanted someone to understand what they built, to remember the beauty they lost. We are the ones who survived to carry their knowledge forward." Captain Ryan looked at the holograms and said, "Then it is our duty to protect this knowledge and use it to build, not destroy." That is the true meaning of the Watcher's warning. The fleet continued from system to system, sharing what they learned with Earth through advanced communication channels. Humanity began to unite not only on their planet but also across the stars. Colonies on Mars, the moons of Jupiter, and deep space stations began to collaborate, guided by the principles of knowledge, courage, and shared responsibility. One day, while exploring a star system near the edge of the galaxy, the fleet encountered another sphere, smaller than the first yet alive with energy. The voice of the Watchers spoke once more. "You have risen beyond fear. You have learned our lessons. The fire you carry now burns for creation, not for destruction. Continue, and your light will reach the stars as we once dreamed." Rian and Mira stood silently on the bridge, absorbing the moment. The fleet gathered data, but they felt no urgency to take it all. The message was clear. Humanity had passed the test. They had shown that fire could illuminate without consuming. Back on Earth, new cities rose, designed with knowledge from the Empire. Energy flowed freely. Machines created more than they destroyed, and humans began to travel farther and faster through space than ever before. People were inspired not only by technology, but also by the story of the Watchers and the Empire's downfall. Lessons of courage, wisdom, and cooperation became the foundation of society. Children in schools learned that fire could be both powerful and gentle. Scientists taught that knowledge without wisdom leads to ruin. Artists painted the stars, not as distant points of light but as places of possibility. And every human understood one truth: the galaxy was full of life, history, and lessons waiting to be discovered. Captain Ryan recorded a final message to Earth from the fleet. "We have learned that the universe is not merely a place to explore, but a mirror of ourselves. Fear destroys. Courage builds. Knowledge must be shared. Humanity now carries the fire of the Watchers, and it is a fire for all to see. Let it guide us wisely." Dr. Mira added, "The Empire fell because they could not rise above fear. We rise because we can. Let their memory remind us that every choice matters. Every action shapes the future." As the fleet returned to Earth one last time, the skies above shimmered with the aurora of returning explorers. Humanity had changed. They had faced the unknown, learned from the past and carried the legacy of an ancient civilization. In the following months, Earth celebrated not just the return of explorers, but the beginning of a new era. The knowledge of the Empire allowed humans to solve problems that had once seemed impossible. Hunger, disease, and energy shortages became history. Humanity's light reached farther than ever, touching the stars with hope, curiosity, and courage. The Watchers' fears remained, silent witnesses to human progress. They no longer needed to warn. Humanity had proven itself capable of rising beyond fear. The white light of creation, once feared by an ancient empire, now burned brightly in the hands of a species that had learned to use it wisely. And somewhere beyond the stars, silent yet aware, the Watchers observed. They saw not a species bound by fear, but one that had learned to carry fire without letting it consume. They saw humans building worlds, exploring galaxies, and creating life in ways the Empire never had. The final message from the Watchers reached Earth one day, simple and clear. You are ready. Continue. Rise. Humanity answered not with weapons or anger, but with action, exploration, and unity. The fire of Earth now burned across the stars, a light that promised growth, wisdom, and hope for the universe. Captain Ryan looked at the horizon of space, the stars reflecting in his eyes. Mira stood beside him, smiling. We have done what they could not, she said. Ryan nodded. Yes, we have risen beyond fear, and the galaxy will remember our fire. The stars stretched endlessly before them, full of promise. Humanity had learned from the past, embraced courage, and carried the light of knowledge. The fire of Earth would illuminate the universe, not for conquest, but for creation, for life, and for all that lay ahead. And for the first time, humanity understood that the Watchers' warning had not been a threat. It had been an invitation, a chance to rise and to shine brighter than any civilization before them. The galaxy had heard Earth's fire, and now it would never go out.